This is a strange video today. It will probably be a one off, but I've been looking at this website called ungraded.com. They are basically in their beta release, like it's not fully open yet. But I've been looking ever since they had the first edition Charizard or Shadowless Charizard. It was one or the other, but it went for like £4,000. And obviously that's way out of budget, etc. etc. But what I like is their photo system. I think they take like 1,000 photos of every card, so you see it from every angle, every light source. You can literally manipulate the card yourself. And it's really impressed me. I am not one of these people who believes everything is sunshine and rainbows, most people are decent, etc. etc. I think everyone's out to get you, everyone's out to con you. And when you're buying singles off of eBay, how many times have you seen a card that looks fantastic, only photographed from the front? Or, oh no, it all looks quite good, but you notice they've taken it on a white background, so it hides the whitening a little bit more, etc. etc. I think if you're spending cold hard cash on cards, eBay, unless you're buying from a trusted seller or you're buying graded, I think it's quite a cesspool of people. Like, hot take, slate me in the comments. I'm not going to read it anyway, I don't really care. This website, though, I'm like, at the moment, it's not well publicised, I would say. So I think at the moment there is potential to grab some bargains. On the downside of that, it's brand new. You don't know who's running it, what's going to happen in 6 months' time, what happens if you send cards in and suddenly the company goes out of business because it was a failure. There are all these risks. Again, I'm always one of these people who sees the worst. But, I'll give you an example. This is a cool card. I'm actually in the process of selling one of these. I'll have a video up in a couple of weeks. I'm getting rid of a massive chunk of my sealed collection, and it includes a sealed set of these promos. But I don't think you can deny that this is a nice card. So you click into it, and it loads up. I'm doing this on mobile, if you haven't guessed. And what I like is immediately you can turn the card, and if there were any gaping scratches, they would show up. But if you're like, oh, is that a scratch? Isn't that a scratch? I'm going to go to Pikachu's face, and let's pretend you saw something on his eyeball. You can now change the perspective, and it'll load in, and you would be able to check if that was or wasn't a scratch, and you can move around more. And the same on corners. If you were like, oh, was that corner a nick? You can actually zoom in, and you can test every single part of the card. Like, oh, is that a scratch there in the centre? So you can literally, you get the card, you manipulate it, and it's like, oh no, it was just the little print dots, how they were aligned pretty much, I'm pretty sure. I think this is fantastic. When someone says the card is near mint and it comes as a PSA 5 quality, I'm sorry, that is not near mint. You are an absolute moron for stating that. You can also then go to the back of the card. Now, we all know that new back Japanese is probably going to be okay anyway. But obviously, we'll get to some older cards in a minute. I like the way that the shine is reflected. And you would be able to, if there was like a smudge, like a bogey or someone's grimy fingerprint, you would be able to see it just from that view. But if you do see something, you zoom in, and again, look, you're getting right into the like proper print dots. There's no way fakes would get through this. On eBay, I've seen people like buy cards and they're like, oh, it came and they weren't even textured. The fact you can see the actual print detail, you are not going to get fakes on this website. I think it is absolutely fantastic. But then, the most underrated tool, I think, as well, look at this. This is a little centering gadget. So you can zoom in. I'm going to move this out to the edge of the card. I'm going to move that there. I'm going to move this one out to the edge of the card. It's obviously easier with a mouse on the PC, but I don't have recording stuff on my computer, so I have to do it on my phone. But look at that, the centering is 52:48 on the front there. That is fine. It's like 60-40 centering, 70-30 on the back, isn't it? So I think that is just another little underrated gem that they do. You can do that on the front and the back. But on some of the textured cards, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's especially on like the black and white XY era. Sometimes the texture of a card, for lack of a better term, it looks like imprinting. Someone squashed the texture. So with this little gadget, obviously you just zoom in and you can go over every piece of the texture, because I don't think people understand that, yeah, texture cards are great and everything, but let's pick a point out. The bottom little like point there, if that now had a layer of like just completely flat texture, that is where your surface would be marked down. And as much as a print line or a scratch, flattened texture on cards, and the black and white era, etc., are renowned for these points of really dodgy texture. You can literally go over the whole card and you can investigate every single bit. And on some cards, there are the Japanese VMAX decks. The energy cards on the first print have texture like this, and on the second print, on the reprint, they don't have texture in the in the energy like logos. So on a tool like this, you look on eBay and it's like one picture at the front in a dull room. You go, oh, is it first print? Is it second print? On here, look at that. You're zoomed right in. You'd be able to tell that there is texture on the energy symbols. It is such a great little tool to have. We'll flip over to the back. We'll have a quick look, see if anything. I'm hoping on one of these cards, like I think they are all listed as near mint or better, but I'm hoping on one you could like spot a bit of grime at this view, and then we could like zoom in and double check. What we'll do in a minute, we'll try and find an older card. So nothing really standing out there, but again, you can run over the edges just to be safe. And if you are in the market for a, is it Ice Rider Calyrex, you can now go in, check the centering and stuff as well. The edges all look pretty okay to me. It's like, that's a buy. And we're talking, sorry, let me go back. We're talking it's on £75 at the moment. This is where a lot of them are on bids, but some people are asking just buy now offers. So obviously you compare that to eBay. I don't know what the market price is for this card. I like horse racing. You'd think a horse riding jockey Pokemon would be one of my favourites. I've just never really got drawn to it. But you can obviously compare your eBay prices. But if we go to the weekly auction, there is one main card. I'm going to end this video at probably about 10-15 minutes, but there's one card that I do want to highlight. But the reason I've been tracking this website mainly is the Pokemon Rumble cards. I have a set. I played the game with them. They're not minty. There's no creases. There's no like massive issues with them. And I'm just waiting to see like what they sell for on here to give me like a little bit of a better idea. This is pretty cool. Without seeing the name of the card, why is this base set Pikachu different? I'll give you 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. And the answer is the E3 stamp. So way back when, as a little taster, E3 used to be the big games expo every year. Look at that. That is pretty cool. So they're listing this one as moderately played. Well, the front looks okay, and then there it is. Can you see the difference, yeah? There's nothing really there. Now you go along the border, 1 white mark, 2, 3, 4 white marks, 5 white marks, 6. Look at that. On eBay, you're seeing that, and you're going, wow, that's a fantastic condition card. Now you're getting it in person, you're thinking, oh god, this is PSA 8. Shall we flip it around? Wow, there we go. So this is where I think this is fantastic. I really rate this. I am, without going into too much detail, obviously I am out of work. I have been selling cards for the last year. I've just done my first tax return, did quite well. I'm now actively looking for a bit of work to basically fund buying cards, to fund doing what I was doing all year. The more you buy, the more you can sell, etc., etc. But things like this, wow, look at that. Things like this, I think, are really good. And at the moment, if only 10, 20, 30% of the UK market know of this, it gives you the opportunity to get quality cards in condition that you can be really happy about. So here we go. There's like a crease there. You can load it in from every single angle. I think that is just really good. Is that a piece of grime? Where is it? Just above the... Is that a piece of grime in the centre there? No, I think it's okay. But look at that. Imagine if eBay eventually, because this is what you got to think about. This is a new website run by some startup guys, I imagine, and they have done amazing work. You're talking eBay. What's eBay worth? 1 billion, 5 billion. All the partnerships with Fanatics and PWC. It's not the craziest stretch to be like, oh, at some point you're going to be able to send your cards into eBay. They're going to take the photos like this, and they'll put it all up for you, and they'll take an extra 5% fee. Like, I could see that happening. But it's like, this is trailblazing. I think this is really quality stuff. I really, really do like that. Oh, here we go. A lightly played Alakazam from base set. We'll investigate this one as well while we're here. Doesn't look too shabby from a distance. Oh, here we go. So I'm gonna now... Oh. Magnifying glass. Top border. There we go. There were some little grime spots. I'm sure you've all got this. If you've ever had your cards from 1999, you had them in an attic or you had them in a cupboard, you get these little black dots over them. Some of them wipe off and some of them are just too far gone. Some silvering in the border, more silvering. This is where they were cranking them out of the factory at such speed that the blades were just too blunt. But I just think that's really cool. And you know exactly what you're getting. If you've got this thing in your head that, oh, if I had unlimited funds, I would be cracking PSA 7 slabs to get a base set binder of base set. Instead of like, right, someone's paid 15 quid for the grading, then they got the price of the card. Oh, right, PSA 7 goes for X amount. You can look at this, and if you're like, oh no, this is PSA 7, this is PSA 8 quality, you can bid on here, but you might only have 3 competing bidders. Whereas on eBay, it's so well used that you may never get the bargains that you're looking for. Now, it could go the other way. The only people on here really like the situation, the scenarios that you've got and the skills that you've got, and because they're now so confident that, yeah, no, this is within my level for my binder, maybe they'll overpay because they have checked the card in great detail. So like maybe on eBay you're thinking like, oh, I'll bid up to 15 quid on this card on eBay. It comes through and there's like a hidden crease across the TM and the N. Whereas on here, you've done your due diligence, you've looked, definitely no crease. Maybe you're going to increase your bid to £20. So maybe on here you're going to end up overpaying. It's all to be decided until it goes to a wider release, and you'd hope that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of cards on it. But it's, see there, that like grimy bit there. It only shows in certain light. But that there, that's like, it looks like an oil stain or something, don't it? Let's be realistic. But what an amazing tool this is. If I can find the piece with the Premier Auction, look at that. I obviously collect Evolutions, and Vaporeon is my old school favourite. That is just a great card. Right, yeah, it's on the Premier Auction. So there was all the Pokemon Rumble cards on here, the whole set. I've got the whole set. But it's the Pikachu, like, I just like the derpy look, the Magikarp, the Vulpix, 2 popular Pokemon. But it's like, you look at it, it's up to £122, and they're calling this near mint or better. Now, I wanted to show you this one, because what do you think about this? So we're going to zoom in again. Let me load it in better. You can do it on the first screen on your PC, but if you zoom in, you can do like quality settings and stuff. But you're going along and you're like, oh, it's not loading. There we go. You're like, yeah, I can see this being near mint or better. That's all pretty good. Obviously, the hollow's going to be your biggest risk, so we can have a look at that. Change the angle a little bit. Is there any glaring scratches? It does look pretty nice, I think. Look at that. That is a profile picture. Oh my god. That is a cool little picture. On some of these cards, I might have to get like a little Kabuto zoomed in the top corner and use it as like a thumbnail somewhere. But what intrigued me on this, look at the price. £122, near mint or better. And everyone's got these tools. Everyone can use these tools. Again, back looks quite nice. But, oh, let me move my record thing. I looked at this and was like, ah, okay. So you go down. The corners, they're lipped quite dramatically. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure this falls within near mint still. Like, it's going to knock it down if you send it to grading, but is that pack fresh, box fresh? I agree, yep, not a problem. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, is that an indentation? You see there's like two little lines. And I'm like, if that's an indent and you're buying this to possibly grade, indents take a card down to a 6, don't they? I'm like, £122 and it's still got 4 days left. This could be... There's a scratch there as well. See the scratch in the border, centre along the border. If you're spending this money thinking, oh, I'm going to grade this, I'm wondering if people are just not seeing those two lines and aren't calling that an indent. But you could be spending £150, £200 on this, and there's a big scratch and there's a big indent, and all the corners are lipped. So it's like, I do wonder if people were looking at cards through different eyes. Like, everyone's got their own version of near mint, stuff like that. But I just find this whole website just really interesting, and it needs to be like looked at. And this was the other card. I've already gone longer than 15 minutes. I apologise. I'll start rambling. But look at this card. Dream card. I've made a list of 10 cards. If I sell my whole collection, when I've got a decent job, I'm just going to buy 10 cards back. I've completed Pokemon. Mew Gold Star is one of them cards, as is the Koro Mew. Notice the theme, Blue Muse. But look at that. This is pricey, obviously. £720, 4 days left, near mint or better. But look at this horrible print line, man. Look at that. It just doesn't disappear. Look at that. Oh, I could never spend £700 on a card and have that. Like, fair play to you. If I don't know what one of these is going for in today's market, I don't know how much the print line's going to affect it. But if you're telling me now I can't find a £700 Mew somewhere else that doesn't have a massive line in, I think you're absolutely telling lies. There's got to be one on eBay right now, around the 500 mark, even a PSA 5 or something. Like, condition isn't really important. It's just saying you've got a gold star in it at that point. But the rest of it looks lovely. It's like, oh god, look at this nice minty card. Like, holy shit. You're literally talking dream case scenario. And then you're looking like, no, look at this. But the rest of the card, like, without that print line, it is a stunning gold star. Like, you would be all over this. One little whitening dot, if you... Oh, God, hold on. One little whitening dot. Oh, my gadget's gone funny. One little whitening dot up there. Obviously, you zoom and everything's going to look bad on a black background. But little dot, centering doesn't look too bad. Obviously, we could do the centering tool, but with my fingertip, it's a bit difficult. You go back to the front. The whole card looks like it's solid, isn't it? Like, is that PSA 9? You'd never want to say a 10 on a card this old, but the whole card looks great. And you got that little dot in the border there that I missed. It's only there when you zoom right in. But little dot there, little dot on the back. You're thinking, is it a 9? Is it an 8? But then, oh, I could never spend this much money and get that ginormous print line. But what do you think? Has anyone else been looking at this? Anyone else been following the like beta or soft launch that they've been doing? I think it's an impressive little tool. And God, imagine if eBay had something like this. It'd make buying cards a lot safer, wouldn't it? But yeah, no, that was all. I am going to keep an eye out on it. There are a few cards. Obviously, my dream card is the Kabuto from the Vending series and the PSA 10. I have a minty, like near mint version, but I ain't going to get a 9. I ain't going to get a 10. It's probably get a 9. So it's like they're the kind of things. If anyone ever puts like a massive lot of Vending series cards on, I should be straight on the Kabuto, looking at the centre and looking at the surface and that, because the Vending series are notorious for having scratches because they're glossy. But if I could feel more confident than, 20 quid from Japan, it comes and it's full of surface scratches. I've looked on here, changed the angles, no scratches. It's like, could this be the place where you can find a source like that, like a notorious card for surface scratches, and you can inspect it to its fullest? But yeah, that's all I've got today. If anyone is using it, if you've brought on it, what was the experience like? If you've sold on here, what was the experience like? I'd be interested to know, because when something comes along and it looks so good, you're always thinking there must be a catch. I think there's no fees at the moment, etc. But do the fees end up like biting you in the arse? Can you only really sell high value stuff, so the fees aren't too bad? Like, it'll be interesting to see as it goes along what people's opinions are. But as I say, I was looking at the Rumble cards. I saw the Gold Star Mew, and I'm like, I'm going to just keep it on this website from now on. But yeah, that's everything. I will leave it there. And drop your thoughts below. If anyone actually watched this video, drop your thoughts below and let me know what you think of this. See you all later, and goodbye.